When young people have been exposed to chronic and acute stress, especially in the form of adverse childhood experiences and trauma, it triggers what's sometimes referred to as a toxic stress response in the brain. In other words, that student then enters into a space of fight, flight, or freeze. They have an elevated level of cortisol and stress hormones in the body, and that might show up in your classroom as a student who engages in some of those fight behaviors: defiance, disrespect, being rude, argumentative, not taking no for an answer. It could also show up as a student who might engage in some of those flight or freeze behaviors: shutting down, not even bothering to try, or literally running out of the classroom. And sometimes we don't talk about this as much, but this comes from I first read of it in the work of Pete Walker in his book Complex PTSD, which is a fantastic book for adults recovering from their own history of ACEs and trauma. And Pete talked about the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response. And also for some of our students, the way they've learned how to cope with trauma is by becoming especially compliant, by trying to make whoever the authority figure is happy. So they suppress their own needs and they become very compliant, very perfectionistic, but they can still be suffering in silence from anxiety, depression, eating disorders, etc. So the symptoms of trauma can show up in a variety of different ways in our classrooms, which invites us to realize the behavior I'm seeing in my classroom is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's a way that this student is, in many respects, communicating their unmet needs for safety, belonging, and feeling valued. And so if I'm willing to look at behavior as a form of communication, first of all, it invites me to take it a little bit less personally and realize perhaps this student is going through some things and it might be better for me to connect and to seek to understand. And it also allows me to then start to become proactive and plan for the social, emotional, behavioral needs of my students, recognizing that I need to think about ways to cultivate their safety, physical safety through consistency and routines, intellectual safety through growth mindset feedback, their social emotional safety by creating shame-free learning environments where we can make a mistake, but also learn how to accept responsibility and how to learn from that mistake in healthy ways. And a lot of times it starts with us as educators modeling some of that. And then to look at authentic ways to foster belonging. And lastly, behavior communicates a need for feeling valued, for voice and choice, for having a sense of competence and confidence. It's very much connected to motivation.
For more information about social and emotional learning, please visit adlit.org. This project was made possible by a partnership between the National Education Association and WETA.